Do you find that as the years pass, visits to other people become less frequent? Perhaps in earlier times, you were known for an active social life, constantly visiting friends and attending every event, eager to maintain extensive connections. However, something subtly changes over time. Each invitation is considered more carefully, and those spontaneous visits that once seemed an integral part of life are no longer perceived as essential. It's important to realize that this change is an entirely natural process. Below, we will explore 6 specific reasons why people start visiting others less often. This isn't about becoming antisocial or deliberately distancing yourself. Rather, it's about a profound understanding of how life priorities transform, how interpersonal relationships evolve, and why the conscious choice of when and where to spend your time gains unprecedented importance. If you've ever felt this way but couldn't explain it, these reflections might help articulate and make sense of your own feelings. Such insights can reshape your view of yourself and your connections, fostering greater confidence in your decisions. 1. Prioritizing energy for truly meaningful interactions. As the years go by, you begin to realize that your energy resources are far from limitless. What once felt easy and effortless in youth, whether traveling across town, engaging in hours-long conversations, or attending every single gathering, now demands significantly more effort than before. The point isn't a lack of desire to socialize, but rather the need for a more selective approach to allocating your time and energy. The question arises, who are the people who truly matter? In youth, social interactions often revolve around maintaining a wide circle of acquaintances and numerous friendships. However, with age, a noticeable transformation occurs. You begin to value the quality of relationships over their quantity. It's no longer about trying to see everyone. Preference is given to spending time with those who inspire you, with whom you feel comfortable, and who bring genuine joy into your life. Casual visits, once perceived as essential, can now feel like they deplete your limited energy reserves, especially when that time could be dedicated to developing truly deep and meaningful connections. Consider, how many times have you forced yourself to go somewhere out of a sense of duty or obligation, only to return home completely exhausted? You might find yourself in conversations that hold no interest, spending time with people who make no effort to get to know you, and ultimately leaving with the feeling that you would have been much better off at home. A moment comes when you realize the pricelessness of your own time, and the understanding that not everyone deserves a piece of it. Take Frank, for example. He used to feel guilty declining invitations, fearing that a lack of regular visits would be perceived as indifference. But over time, he noticed something important. The people who genuinely valued him didn't need constant meetings to maintain a strong bond. Instead of expending energy on superficial interactions, Frank began to focus on deeper, more meaningful relationships, and suddenly, socializing stopped being an obligation and transformed into a source of genuine joy. This isn't a call for isolation, but rather for wise choices. There's no need to be omnipresent or see everyone to prove you care. True connections don't require continuous presence. They are based on sincere appreciation, deep understanding, and mutual respect for each other's personal time. 2. Seeking to avoid unnecessary stress and drama. One of the most valuable lessons learned with age is the understanding that not every social interaction justifies the potential loss of peace of mind. There was a time when you might have tolerated gossip, unnecessary conflicts, or the company of people who seemed to bring more negativity than positivity into your life. However, with years comes the realization that preserving inner balance and tranquility is far more important than maintaining any relationship, even long-standing ones. It's not that you stop caring about others. It's that you no longer have the patience for dramatic situations. You don't feel the need to argue over trifles, dredge up long-forgotten conflicts, or sustain dialogues that ultimately leave you feeling disappointed and drained. If visiting someone inevitably means encountering unnecessary stress, be it family tension, passive-aggressive remarks, or the same old arguments that never lead to a constructive resolution, you start to wonder, why am I enduring this? Consider, have you ever left a gathering feeling emotionally depleted? Perhaps you've sat through dinners where people constantly complained, or visited someone out of duty, only to listen to negativity, gossip, or criticism. A moment comes when you realize that time spent in a stressful environment is time you can't get back, and at this stage of life, every minute becomes especially valuable. As an example, consider Helen, who regularly visited certain family members, though each visit left her emotionally exhausted. There was always tension in the air, always some argument brewing, always something that made her feel unappreciated. One day, she decided she would no longer put herself in such situations. Instead, she focused on connecting with people who made her feel loved, wanted, and respected, and for the first time in years, social interactions genuinely brought her joy again. The truth is, everyone has the right to protect their time and energy. No one is owed your presence, especially if that presence comes at the cost of your own happiness. Choosing to avoid unnecessary stress isn't rudeness, it's wisdom, because people who genuinely care about you won't force you to endure negativity just to maintain a relationship. 3. The comfort of your own home environment. There's something about your own home that just feels right and natural. Over the years, you create your unique space, a place where you can fully relax, reflect, and be yourself without pretense. And with age, this comfort becomes more valuable than ever before. The idea of having to dress up, travel significant distances across town, engage in small talk, and be in someone else's space no longer seems as appealing as it once did. The point isn't avoiding people, but a deep appreciation for the peace and coziness of your own surroundings. In youth, there's a drive to constantly be on the go, continuously seeking social events and new experiences. However, over time, you realize that being out isn't always superior to time spent in your own abode. There's a special joy in waking up in your own bed, drinking coffee from your favorite mug, and knowing the day will unfold exactly as you wish. There's no pressure to entertain, no need to adjust to someone else's schedule, just the pure comfort of being in a space that truly belongs to you. For some, visiting others means encountering an environment that doesn't feel welcoming. Perhaps their home is too noisy, too chaotic, or simply uncomfortable for extended visits. Maybe the chairs aren't as cozy, the atmosphere feels unfamiliar, or you simply don't feel as at ease as you do in your own home. The reality is that with age, personal comfort takes precedence over social expectations, and if you find more joy in staying home than in traveling to others, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Take Bill, for example. He used to feel guilty declining invitations, but every time he visited someone, he found himself counting the minutes until he could leave. The noise, the distractions, the unfamiliar setting, it was all exhausting. One day, he decided to stop forcing himself to go out just because he felt he should. Instead, he started inviting people to his place on his own terms, and suddenly, socializing became something he genuinely looked forward to, not something he dreaded. There's a reason home feels like home, because it's a space created specifically for you. It's a place where you feel safe, where your favorite things are, where you can move at your own pace without worrying about being a guest in someone else's space. Choosing to spend more time at home isn't isolation, it's embracing and enjoying the comfort you've worked so hard to create. 4. Preferring quality over quantity in social life. In your younger years, social interaction often feels like a numbers game. The more friends you have, the more invitations you receive, the fuller your calendar looks, the more connected to society you feel. However, with age comes a profound understanding that true satisfaction stems not from a number of people in your life, but from the depth and significance of the relationships you maintain. Instead of making an effort to visit simply to maintain a wide social circle, many people in their mature years prefer to invest in a smaller, yet far more meaningful number of connections. At this stage of life, the need for superficial friendships disappears. You no longer strive to impress, prove anything, or maintain connections that don't bring genuine joy and satisfaction. The truly important people don't require constant visits or frequent check-ins to remain close and significant. There's a mutual understanding that true friendship is defined not by physical presence, but rather by presence in the aspects that truly matter to both parties. Consider how many casual acquaintances you've accumulated over the years, people you spent time with out of habit, convenience, or even a sense of duty. Now, ask yourself, how many of these people truly brought something valuable into your life? If the answer is few, then it becomes quite understandable why, with age, you stop feeling the need to maintain such an extensive number of connections. Friendships that can withstand the test of time are not based on convenience or habit, but on genuine understanding, deep trust, and mutual appreciation. Take Nancy, for example. She used to feel obligated to keep in touch with everyone, calling, visiting, planning meetups, just so she wouldn't be forgotten. However, over time, she realized that the people who genuinely cared about her didn't need such constant validation. She began to focus on relationships that felt easy and effortless, those where she could go weeks or even months without seeing someone, yet pick up right where they left off. And suddenly, her social life became less about obligation and more about authentic, heartfelt connection. Choosing quality over quantity doesn't mean abandoning people or deliberately isolating yourself. It means prioritizing relationships that inspire and enrich, and letting go of those that don't. It's about recognizing that true friendship is measured not by the frequency of meetings, but by how you feel when you are in the company of those people. 5. A shift in priorities and personal reflection. With age, you begin to perceive life in a completely different way. What once seemed extremely important, staying socially active, being seen, always being part of a group, gradually loses its former significance. Instead, you start to focus on what truly holds deep meaning. You realize the limited nature of your own time, and you begin to make decisions that reflect what brings the most peace, satisfaction, and happiness. For many people in their mature years, this shift in priorities means that visiting others simply for the sake of visiting no longer feels necessary. Instead of spending time on activities that no longer bring joy, there's a deeper appreciation for self-care, personal growth, and simply enjoying the present moment. Some find satisfaction in reading, others in hobbies they previously lacked time for, and still others simply sitting in the quiet of their home, reflecting on life lived. Consider, how many moments have you spent doing something out of habit, rather than genuine interest? In youth, you might have felt pressure to accept every invitation, conform to social expectations, and always be on the go. But now, you have the freedom to choose differently. You can prioritize what brings you joy, whether it's time spent alone, with loved ones, or simply embracing the tranquility that comes with age. Take Robert, for example. For most of his life, he was a social butterfly, always attending events, always making sure to be the center of attention. But with age, he realized he found more peace in solitude than in constant social interaction. He began spending more time outdoors, enjoying simple walks, reading books he'd put off for years, and reflecting on what truly made him happy. Instead of forcing himself to visit people just to maintain appearances, he embraced the idea that being alone didn't mean being lonely. It meant being in control of his time. This shift in priorities doesn't mean pushing people away, it means self-respect. It's about recognizing that the best way to live these years is not by following old habits, but by embracing what feels right, what feels meaningful, and what brings peace. 6. Recognizing that true friendship doesn't require frequent visits. One of the most profound realizations that comes with age is that the best friendships don't depend on constant visits or regular check-ins. In youth, it might seem that relationships need continuous maintenance to stay strong. You call often, visit frequently, make every effort to stay updated. However, with age, you come to understand that true connections don't fade just because meetings become less frequent. The truth is, life naturally pulls people in different directions. Families grow, priorities change, and individuals adapt to various life routines. But strong relationships, the ones that truly matter, are built on something deeper than mere physical presence. They are based on mutual respect, deep understanding, and an unspoken bond that doesn't need constant reinforcement through external displays. Some of the closest friendships are those where people might not see each other for weeks, months, or even years, yet when they meet again, it feels as if time has had no effect whatsoever. Consider your own friendships. You likely have people in your life whom you don't see as often as you used to, but when you do, it feels like nothing has changed. There's no need to prove your devotion or constantly be in each other's presence. The connection already exists and is felt. And on the other hand, perhaps in the past, there were relationships where you spent a lot of time visiting, but deep down, those friendships didn't bring true satisfaction. Take Eleanor, for example. She used to feel guilty for not visiting people as often as she once did. She worried that if she didn't make an effort, these relationships would fade. However, she discovered the opposite. The people who genuinely cared about her never once made her feel guilty for not visiting more frequently. They understood that life changes, and that strong friendships aren't about how often people see each other, but about how they support each other when it truly matters. That's why many people in their mature years choose to stop feeling pressured to visit others out of obligation. True friendship doesn't demand constant physical presence. It offers comfort, deep understanding, and a bond that doesn't weaken over time. If someone makes you feel guilty for not visiting often enough, perhaps it's time to question whether that's truly the kind of friendship you want to maintain. Concluding thoughts. Take a moment to reflect on these 6 reasons why visiting people less often is no cause for guilt. Life is constantly changing, priorities shift, and how we socialize naturally evolves. Whether it's conserving energy for meaningful interactions, avoiding unnecessary stress, embracing the comfort of your own home, focusing on quality over quantity in relationships, redefining personal priorities, or recognizing that true friendship doesn't require constant visits. These are all valid and important reasons to wisely choose how you spend your time. One of the greatest freedoms that comes with age is the ability to live by your own rules. You no longer feel pressured to maintain appearances, force interactions, or visit people simply because it's socially expected. Instead, you make choices based on what truly brings you joy, peace, and deep satisfaction. This isn't a sign of being antisocial, it's being intentional with your time and resources. And when you do spend time with people, it's because you genuinely want to, not because you feel obligated. Most importantly, remember that your worth isn't measured by the frequency of your visits to others, but by the quality of the relationships you cultivate in your own way. The people who truly matter will understand that friendship and love extend beyond physical presence. And when you focus on the connections that inspire you, you'll find yourself with relationships that truly make life meaningful and fulfilling.